Alright everyone, welcome to the stream. So, playing tonight one of my favorite decks that we played last week when the Breakthrough expansion first dropped. It's UK-US Spitfires. Taking a second crack at the list, felt fairly reasonable the first go around. Of course, it was like kind of day one of a new expansion. People are experimenting with all kinds of things. And we didn't get, we played about 90 minutes with the deck, didn't get that many games in with it, but the main thing was that I really enjoyed playing it, and so I thought I'd give it another go tonight, but with some changes. So one of the things I cut was 2 copies of War Bonds, got rid of those in favor of these patrols here. I just felt like the ramp was just not needed between the full playset of War Machines and then of course the RAF Ground Crew, letting us effectively ramp into our Spitfires. The War Bonds just felt excessive, so I cut them in favor of these 2 patrols. Not only is this, solid removal order for the early game if we're looking to slow down more aggressive decks, it allows us to punch through for potentially lethal amounts of damage to the enemy's HQ if they're trying to defend it with guard units. Trying to defend from our attacks from our big planes here. So that's the reason I made that cut there. The only other change was I had a couple things up at the top end here. We had like we had a sexton. We had that new British elite that draws a card every turn. Felt like they weren't really necessary. They're kind of like poorly statted units. The effects are nice, but I didn't feel like they were really all that necessary. So I just cut them in favor of a couple RAF Lightnings. Just as a solid tempo play. It's also synergizes well in our deck since we are running some copies of Finest Hour, and we could even draw it off of our Spitfire IXs. It's obviously not like as good of an attacker as our big Spitfires would be, but like the fact that it bounces a unit back to hand while also being a decent body in and of itself, I felt made it a worthwhile inclusion. And speaking specifically about getting rid of that elite that draws a card every turn. So I felt that the AVRO ANSON, when you play this, when you hold this back and like really wait for the key turns where it's going to draw you cards, you can actually draw yourself a surprising number of cards with this AVRO, at least in my experience so far. I feel like this could potentially be enough of a draw engine for a deck like this, quite frankly. Especially when you consider like we have things like We Can Do It and the Spitfire IXs that cantrip as well. Like we're actually seeing a decent number of cards, I feel like, so far. I was totally wrong about this card. I felt like this would ironically be one of the cards you'd want to cut in a Spitfire deck. I don't necessarily believe that anymore. I think this is actually a pretty decent card. Now, like that said, this is more of like a tempo style deck. Like we're definitely trying to just sort of outgun our opponent and run them down as quickly as possible, and like the card advantage is not our main concern, so that's another reason why it's like not that big of a deal. But like as far as when we do need to grind a little bit and we do need that card advantage, so far the AVRO has felt pretty good. What's really nice about it too is just the fact that you can continue to apply pressure to your opponent by attacking their HQ and it'll still draw you cards because it doesn't care what you're attacking with the Spitfire. It just cares that the Spitfire is attacking, which is great. So yeah, the rest of the list remains unchanged. I still really like the 5th Brigade because it allows us to have something to slow down aggro while also protecting our RAF Ground Crew, because this is the main thing we do want to be playing on 3. I still do like the War Machines so far in theory, because even though it doesn't really, what it allows us to do is it allows us to get our Spitfires on the field just that much faster when we aren't finding our RAF Ground Crews. And even if we are, going turn 2 War Machine into turn 3 RAF does mean that we can play any of our Spitfires on the following turn, or on turn 4 even the Spitfire 9. Because as of right now, without the War Machine, we can only play, Spitfire Mark 1 or Mark 5, which, that's a majority of the cards in our deck, but it's still nice to be able to play it out no matter what. And like even just getting this 5/5 down on turn 4 can be okay sometimes, especially again if you're like, following it up with an AVRO to then attack with, or just getting up to our carpet bombs, or even our Avengers for like those key targets that we need to get rid of is nice. Also going turn 2 War Machine into turn 3 SEAFORTH HIGHLANDERS is nice as well. To slow more aggressive decks down. Anyway, it's something that, like, for now I'm still pretty happy with including in the deck, but who knows, over time I might feel that the slots are better served elsewhere. It's also possible, and if that is the case, it may well be that USA, despite having that Spitfire 9, maybe, you know, there's another direction to take Spitfires. There's another allied nation you'd rather pair it with. To just make the overall game plan more effective. Like, top of mind would be Japan ally, because you get access to things like air superiority and burst of fire, which can be really good. With the huge flyers, obviously. Japan also has access to decent guard units as well to protect your threats or protect your RAFs, so that's also nice. So Britain across the table, probably don't need the 5th Brigade, tough to say though. We can do it to like kind of negate a carpet bombing, I think is nice. Avenger Avenger likely come in handy at any matchup, but I don't think we want to see it in our opening hand here. So I think I'm going to throw back these two, keep the others. Yeah, I was just going to say, like, War Machine would be one of the key things we'd like to see. Should have something to do on our second turn of the game. So far we're looking to go War Machine into RAF into this Spitfire and hope to start beating them down. What's nice about seeing a British ally across the table, you don't have to worry about them playing things like air defense or Counter-Strike to really mess up our aggressive game plan, but they could have plenty of other things to slow us down, so we'll just see if they're good enough. This is actually a very annoying card for our deck to deal with, to be honest. So with that in mind, because if we play this RAF, they're almost certainly moving this up and threatening it. And then we could play the Spitfire, and then they're just going to run this into the Spitfire, or they could try to get greedy and try to kill the RAF and then the Spitfire the following turn, which currently we don't have an answer for. So because of that, I think I'm actually supposed to play the guard here, make them second guess moving this up. They might be fine doing that, but if they do, then these trade, and I think I'm okay with that for now. Still a question mark of what we're doing on our next turn, though. We were originally going to be playing a Spitfire with our original game plan, but that's no longer the case. Maybe if we get a cheaper Spitfire, we play the 5-5, but no such luck. I guess we'll run this out and see what happens. Okay, our opponent's opting to trade with the guard unit. I'm fine with that. Especially if this RAF ground crew lives to see the start of our next turn. Okay, so they're shooting it and then they're going to get rid of it the next turn. We got some value out of it though. That's too bad that we couldn't find... It's too bad we didn't draw like 2 of those back to back. This is what I talked about on my first time we played this game. The cheaper one is just so much better in a deck like this, because just imagine if we had Spitfire Mark 1s in our head right now. We dropped down 2 6/6 fighters on them. It would be so good. And worth noting, like, these are the only 2 Mark 5s in our deck. We are running a full play set of Mark 1s, but such that it is. You know what? Because of this, I think it's actually worth Montying here, just to increase our chances of keeping this alive. We might actually, rather than attack next turn, just drop down 2 more Spitfires. Just 2 more massive Spitfires. I don't know how they're going to recover from that. They're going to need some big guard units. Sure. That buys him a turn. Depending on what they play here, I might carpet bomb. If they play another relevant target, like another honey, I'll probably carpet bomb. Otherwise, I think I'm gonna hit the we can do it here. Is that true still? How much do I care about this honey? No, I think I'd rather do this and draw a card. Patrol, you say. Well, that's nice to get rid of a guard unit that... Because, like, their next turn, like, the main thing they're going to be looking to do is either play a guard unit or hit us with shelling. They're more likely to have a guard unit. Sure. Okay, I mean, are they trying to race? That's not going to work, I don't think. That's actually pretty great because it resets my fighter and it still allows the other two to attack. And I can save my, patrol for that guard unit we talked about earlier. Okay, well, they're dead. Cold Carl, thanks a lot for the raid, my man. Hope you had a good stream. Welcome everyone who may be coming over from Cold Carl's stream. We're just playing some UK US Spitfires tonight. One of the decks I had the most fun with last week when we were checking out the Breakthrough expansion. There could be aggressive deck, and with the War Machine in hand, you know, turn 6 carpet bombing doesn't sound too bad. I have a patrol here. I think these two I cut. Sorry, cut. I think I mulligan those two. I think this is okay. KITTYHAWK's a nice pickup here. RAF not bad as well. No turn 1 play. Okay, maybe they're playing more of one of the control bills. Yeah, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it. Hope you have a good weekend. Whatever you're gonna be up to. Okay, yeah, our opponent looks like they're on the control list that we've seen a few people. We played it actually last week, and I've seen a few others do it as well. Oh, okay. Maybe I'm mistaken. This is more resource efficient, so we're gonna go with this, and I can then like double patrol next turn. We need to. Yeah, that's fine. I think I want to play the ground crew and then like 5th Brigade. Gearwolf 1991. Thanks a lot for the follow. Appreciate it. For those, again, who may be new here, I stream cards every Thursday evening, and I also stream Friday mornings of mix of games. And I upload all the videos of all the games I play on my YouTube channel. The link to that is below the stream. I upload kind of all the videos broken up into deck types, so you can check out whatever decks you're most interested in seeing. We got Wartime Games and Carl CDZ with the follows. Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it. I think we're definitely dropping a Spitfire here. The question is, what are we doing after that? Our opponent's got this annoying little, you know, deal 2 every time we play an order, but I don't think we're going to care too much about that. I'm tempted to patrol here because it's resource efficient, but what that does is it signals to my opponent that, well, they need to get a guard unit on the table ASAP. So I kind of think it might be worth holding back. But resource efficiency is very important in this game, so I'm kind of humming and hawing about it here. I think we'll just go for it. We have a second one in hand. We're gonna, you know, hope they're missing a guard unit. Kind of unlikely in a Japanese-style control deck. They tend to have a lot of guards. Okay, our opponent's getting aggressive here. Now the question, ooh, that's a pretty good draw. Because that means we can take care of this, this regiment here. Alternatively, what could we do? I could patrol this to get rid of the smoke screen and finish it off, which would be nice. And I could do that after hitting this. Also kind of want to carpet bomb this, this board. What to do, what to do. We have a lot of options here. I really think I'm supposed to save this for a guard unit. Then again, a lot of their guard units are big enough that die to this Avenger. That's another thing to consider. I think just like to alleviate the risk of getting burned out here, I think I'm supposed to kill this. Just play it safe. Finish this off, and then you know what? I'll even kill this. He'll trade here, which is fine. You know, there's more threats where that came from. Hopefully we'll find them. Oh, resistance. Killing otherwise fun games since Alliance. I guess we'll just do this. See what we draw. Nothing great, unfortunately. I think we'll just take the front line with this, get rid of this resistance card. Just get rid of all those now. At some point we might have to take initiative here just to like gas back up or just find more threats. Our opponent's not really threatening us that much, so we're not in a huge hurry. We do have a lot of health though. That's another, you know, blitz unit, but no payoff to go with it, unfortunately. Oh, sorry, a blitz card. Maybe we're gonna use it and start beating our opponent down. So we could carpet bombing that. I'm gonna save this one in hand. We don't need two on the field, I don't think. Really tempted to draw some cards, but our opponent's out of gas, so that'd almost certainly be a mistake. Actually gonna move this up because it can just like block an blitz infantry unit for a turn. Okay, there's the Spitfire we wanted. Question is, do I play it now or do I wait? Can I actually carpet bombing plus throw this away to finish off the guard unit? This might be a patience kind of thing. It doesn't feel good, but I think that's what we want to do. We have this finest hour in hand though, but we're still a ways off from actually threatening lethal on his HQ. This also gives us a chance to like hit more things with the carpet bombing. Okay, now I'm regretting moving up the guard unit. Okay. Okay, well, unfortunately, I think we don't have a choice. We're gonna have to attack that down. And again, I'm not gonna put out this other Spitfire because our opponent's likely running to the last man. We don't want to get hit by that. They could also be running Empire of the Sun, which would be really nasty, but you know, it is what it is. Okay. Now we actually have lethal on them, so I think with that in mind, just gonna pass here. It's unfortunate that we don't have another finest hour to draw to, because that would be a good reason to use this take initiative to like push for lethal. Yeah, okay. So they top decked exactly what they needed. This is why we held back and saved our stuff. But now that we know that that's out of the way, we can just throw down some stuff. Now we have to dodge Empire of the Sun. That'll do, pig. Okay, great. So we got there. I'm not sure that I played that as best as I could have in that early game, but we were able to get there. We were able to dodge their key cards for long enough to get there. That's actually another thing I didn't mention in the start of the session where we were looking over the deck. In a pinch, those lightnings can act as removal for blockers when we're looking to push lethal. You know, they're not just great for generating tempo, they can help us push lethal like they did in that case. So I want both of these with this shelling in hand. That doesn't actually accelerate our game plan, right? Or it doesn't accelerate us to shelling, but it might... Yeah, because it doesn't accelerate us to shelling meaningfully, it accelerates us to carpet bombing, but there's no guarantee we draw that. I'll go ahead with the War Machine because it means next turn, especially because they're not threatening our HQ right now. Obviously, they're probably going to play a Panzer 35T now, but still I think it's correct to War Machine here because it means we can 5th Brigade and War Machine again the following turn. Okay, that's going to be a key card we're looking to take out. We do have patrols that let us do that. So that's nice. Yeah, what are we looking for here? Well, I guess we're just looking for some planes to start beating our opponent down. Yeah, that's a pretty good hit from him. I think we're shelling next turn because that takes out 2 of his threats, pins the other. Ooh. I still think we're supposed to shelling. Alternatively, what is our play? We go 5th Brigade, AVRO, and then risk them just doing the exact same thing they just did before, or having another anti-guard tool. So I think we do this. Of course, we're going to get burned for 2 here because of the signal regiment. Our opponents had a pretty ideal start against ours. You know, we're just like, we just had a bunch of ramp cards in hand and weak guard units and no KITTYHAWK, no patrols. We don't have our carpet bombing yet that we'd like to have drawn into. We'll see if we can top deck it, but yeah, we're definitely in a bad spot right now. We are definitely in a bad spot at the moment. So we'll go with the Spitfire here. You know, they even just drew 2 cards as well, so they have plenty of options as well. Opponent's just playing like a good old traditional burn deck, which I think, like I said, I think we're fairly well set up to deal with it. We just have to actually draw our answers. Okay, could be worse. Opponent's not attacking at all. Yeah, I think we double AVRO here, and then I think we're supposed to take this out because he's like clearly setting up for a blitzkrieg. It doesn't matter though, right? We're dead anyway. We're dead to a blitzkrieg, but maybe we can draw into our sweeper, and if they don't have the blitzkrieg, like, we have a chance, but probably dead to that too. That's something. Is that something enough? What are we hoping for here? So if we kill all these units, we take 3 down to 2. And we could actually die to this trigger. If he has another 35T, we're dead to that. We're dead to Air Blitz, which we saw in his deck earlier. Based on cards he drew. If I just drop this down, does that give us a better chance of surviving and seeing a potential victory out of this game? I don't think it really matters, but I think this is what I'm supposed to drop, considering my other options. Like, I would rather, like, patrol this and kill it, finish it off with, like, an AVRO, and then start attacking their stuff down. I don't think we're going to have time to do that, though. Okay. I mean, that's a burn card, though, so that's a problem. And they got the hit on that, so yeah. So we're dead. GG's. I mean, I think we gave ourselves our best out to victory there, but, you know, sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. A pretty fun game anyway, though, to be honest. I kind of like playing mid-range decks against aggro decks, trying to stop them and turn the corner and finish them off is really fun for me. It's one of the reasons why I really enjoy mid-range decks. I enjoy the different matchups and the different roles you have to take depending on those matchups. So mid-range tends to be, yeah, just tends to be some of the most fun for me for card games. And a mid-range deck like Spitfires as well, like a synergy-based mid-range deck is like really everything I want to be doing in a game like this. Okay. I kind of want to keep this. Maybe I'm supposed to throw this back. Yeah, I think you really want to find RAF ground crew. Like, we could hope to draw into this, but I think you also kind of want to keep a Spitfire. Patrol could be good if they end up playing aggro. We're probably keeping a 5th Brigade for that, though. Patrol's not good against the type of aggro they tend to play, but it can be good against a Jasko if they have one, just to, like, so we can push damage a little bit more. Although Jasko, I guess, doesn't meaningfully slow us down that much because we're hitting with such big fighters. The main thing out of them we have to worry about are things like Air Blitz and Counter-Strike, which we'd mentioned before. So let's go with this. See what we find. We get the ground crew, so that means we got the turn 2, turn 3, turn 5. Okay, I'm glad we at least kept one sort of anti-aggro tool. And that lines up well against what they're doing, but at this point, yeah, we'll have to see, because they could start, you know, buffing their units like crazy. We have an Avenger for that, for like one of them, but we're a ways away from that. We'll have to see what they're up to. Okay, they just throw that into there. I guess that makes sense because they can finish it off the next turn with that. Looks like we are going to get to play a 3-cost Spitfire, though, which is nice. And then maybe AVRO shoot the following turn. Yeah, we will have the resources for that. They can kill this, and they likely will. Yeah, we'll see how the next few turns go. I think I'm gonna go AVRO for yeah, it's definitely AVRO into. Actually, is it, or am I supposed to play the ground crew? Because this isn't really about card advantage; it's about tempo. At this point, like regaining tempo. I guess they both kind of do. Like, this is just gonna die anyway to what they have, unless I kill this. But I don't think I want to do that because they could easily finish this off. But if they're spending resources to do that, I'm probably okay with it. I guess it depends on what they have exactly. Decisions. Because we can't, I don't know, I can't guarantee I'll get the value off of this RAF ground crew, but I can get the value off of this. I think this is where we're supposed to be. It's a pretty good pickup, and sadly it doesn't kill either of these threats, but we saw a Japanese unit from him before, like a weak Japanese unit, so maybe that'll do. Okay. That's kind of unfortunate, but at the same time. Okay. We can do it's not bad, but that doesn't mean I get to attack this turn. Unfortunately. I think I'm taking out this and maybe shooting these two. This can also do that there, though, which is good. And then this P40 can set up to have that die to this patrol later. I think that's what we're doing. I think we'll see what we draw from this first, though. That's a pretty good draw, actually. So we're overdrawing here. Oh, that hurts. That's a real nasty overdraw. Man. Alright, well, we'll live. Or will we? So, what are we doing here? Probably throwing these away. because we don't really need the cards anymore. Gonna try to stick this ground crew, throw this patrol away, or maybe we could throw this fighter away. It depends. We could also play the Mosquito here. Is a possibility. RAF into that's not good enough. I don't think we can do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Not the most efficient use of our resources. That's what we got going for us. So let's do this and this for sure. You know what? Let's stick the ground crew. Because shooting with this doesn't do much, and like this, at the very least, maybe this will distract him and he'll throw attacks at this. We'd really like to see a guard unit here, because I think like the main way, this deck doesn't typically run a lot of burn. The main way that they're going to take us out is with blitz units at this point. Like, we got to worry about Hellcats. On Taurus. Hey, thank you. Thanks, well, thanks for the kind words. Finally picked up a camera for this stream. So we got to take out that... This doesn't threaten the HQ, but it's still going to be very annoying. So I think we have to take that out. At the same time, like, we're just, like, slowly dying to these units in the front line. So that's a problem. I could bounce that. Maybe this is what we actually have to do. Bounce that, play this, pass. Opponents, like, they're going to hit us for another 3, which is pretty scary. Like, they can run things like gunship missions and even strategic bombing to burn us out. They could also just buff the crap out of the units they have and kill us here, I suppose. There's that guard unit we wanted. A little late, though. Because we can't... We can't play it out. So let's do this. And shoot some stuff. That's dealing 2. That's also dealing 2, but it's easier to kill, I suppose. So I guess this is what we're doing. Ah, he got us. Didn't expect a blitzy plane. Didn't expect them to be running a blitz plane, so GG's to you. Yeah, like if we needed to draw that guard unit a lot sooner, it definitely would have been something we would have been interested in putting on the field. Might have gotten killed, sure, because they had enough stuff in the front line they could have like spent a turn killing it, but that would have been a turn of them killing our guard unit and not hitting our face, which means we would have been +5 HP and could have survived for another turn. That carpet bombing, like, undraw, I guess, was our undoing, eh? Like, that would have effectively ended the game here. It makes me, like, gun-shy to, like, mulligan this carpet bombing, so we'll just keep it in hand. I mean, it's a fine card regardless of what our opponent's playing, but... I guess we'll take that. Yeah, that carpet bombing would have been so good that turn that we would have drawn it had our opponent not hit us with that 99th Infantry Battalion. That's a very, very strong card. Come to think of it, retreat effects like that are probably one of the biggest weaknesses that a deck like this would have, simply because like a lot of our big plays, our big Spitfires don't have enter play abilities. Obviously we have things like the KITTYHAWK and the Mosquito that aren't good retreat targets, but retreating our stuff is like one of the main ways that people can really slow us down and deal with our units, because they're so big that just attacking into them or trying to hit them with damage-based removal is usually not a good plan. Am I keeping the shelling here for a potential aggro deck? Might be a bit too slow, but we got 3 mulligans here and we got a patrol in hand, so I think it's fine. Okay, I like this. I'll play 5th Brigade onto RAF Ground Crew into probably another 5th. Hey, Blue Blast, how's it going? I'm doing well. Work week is over for me, so just getting in a couple cards matches before the weekend. Okay, I mean, in theory, our 5th Brigade's good against these X1s. And what's better than 1 but 2? Obviously, you could be playing a number of things that mess us up here. Sudden Strike being one of them. Amphibious Assault another. So with that in mind, we'll definitely just play out the other guard unit here rather than risk just getting hit for tons of damage. They could actually just play Blitzkrieg here and like one-shot our unit with this 15th Cavalry and then like hit us for 8 with this. And that's probably lights out for us, honestly, in this game. That might be lights out. We have a couple weak conduits in hand, though, I suppose, so you never know. Okay. Guess we'll do this. Pass. I'm gonna say, hopefully our opponent has some slow infantry unit left in his hand, but no such luck. Alright, well, dead to air blitz. Wow, what are the other 2 cards in their hand that they can't kill us there? Yeah. We can do it. I believe. There's no way. They have 3 damage on board and they have 3 cards in hand. There we go. A little bit too much of an aggressive start from our opponent that game. Needed to dodge the removal from for our guard unit at least 1 turn, and I think that would have changed a lot. So, because we are in a US ally, it could be that we want to just put some... We could replace, for example, let's say aggro is a bad matchup for this deck. We've determined aggro is pretty prominent on the ladder. You could easily take out those Avengers that are at the top end of this deck that are for like other style of aggressive decks. Like primarily it's there for things like the bolster US decks, for example. You could take those out and put in some Awoken Giants, for example, to have something more to do on turn 1 of the game, which is where we seem to be losing a lot of these aggro games. So the question, you know, if you'd want to make this deck more better suited against aggro, that's one consideration that comes to mind for a change. We also talked about before about how possibly pairing this archetype with Japan cards to give you access, for example, to air superiority. There's one such card. So unfortunately, we didn't draw any Spitfires in the intervening time since we've, you know, kept this hand. So we don't have the ability. This RAF ground crew is not doing too much for us right now. They're on the ground, they're ready to go, but there's no planes for them to service, so no planes that they apparently know how to work on, though. They have no idea what this P-40 KITTYHAWK is. It may as well be a spaceship to them. They can't give it +1/+1. They can't even give it +1/+0. That's not what they're very specialized. They're a heavily specialized crew. The AVRO ANSON might be worth running out because if he finishes this off with this, he goes down to 1, we kill it, but chances are he has a buff card for that. Kind of don't want to throw away this KITTYHAWK just for 2 damage and like attack it again. He could buff this out of range of this anyway. Kind of in a rough spot here. I think that's the best play though. I'm not sure that this thing's deployment effect is going to be much more useful in this matchup if they're a heavily air focused deck. Obviously they could be running things like, they could be some sort of hybrid deck that's running commandos. They could be playing honeys that we maybe want to tag, but we'll do this. These guard units should buy us a little bit of time against this Fury plane. And now we can just trade the KITTYHAWK for that plane if we so wish. Yep, that's exactly what we're going to do. I think we actually, okay, especially because we drew a second one, we'll play the RAF ground crew. You know, to set ourselves up for when we start drawing Spitfires. And yeah, trade away the 2 planes. And we're not in an unreasonable spot. I mean, we have a shelling to slow the opponent down. We have this carpet bombing here to kill their little planes. They're obviously seem to be, you know, an UK-Japan air aggro deck. Yeah, I mean, you can have that for now. Eventually, this carpet bomb is going to clean that up, so I don't think I mind that. I think we'll just play... Do we want to play both of these out? They could end up playing... No, I don't think so. They could end up playing something like HMS Illustrious into whatever the heck that... The Empire Strike... Is it called Empire Strikes? What's the one where they... Okay, well, shelling at least puts that in carpet bombing range, which is nice. Still not drawing any of our Spitfires, though, which is unfortunate. See if our opponent plays around carpet bombing here. I'm sure they have the capability of doing so. See if they're gonna bother, though. Bother or think of it or have the ability to. It doesn't really matter. We're just hoping that we can clean up the board next turn. But hopefully they play out because I think we're using carpet bombing next turn. We're hoping that they play a few more things out that are susceptible to it. Now he's holding up Ultra. So I don't know that we want to do it quite yet. He's holding up Ultra. Let's try this. Try to catch it. Okay, that's what he's gonna get us with instead. That's unfortunate, but probably better than one of these getting hit. Yeah, I was really thinking Ultra there, and then he ended up having the... So I could play this Anson, which means this bomber can't finish this off, and then this can't kill one of our things. Could also hit it with... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Could also hit it with Blitzkrieg and, like, eat this. Maybe it's worthwhile. I don't know. We're kind of drawing. We're drawing really poorly here. Even we can do it would have been a good draw by now because it would have like buffered our life total, buffed our units, buy us more time, and also would have gotten us just one more card deeper into our deck for the potential of finding finding an answer. Alright, carpet bombing from our opponent. There's a Spitfire finally. And what's nice is we can actually go ahead and blitz. We probably want to keep our card advantage alive, so I'm gonna go ahead and shoot this. It does mean we get absolutely devastated by a second carpet bombing, but I don't think we can play around that here. You just kind of have to hope they don't have it. They have it. Okay, I think I'm gonna, well, let's see what our top deck is. I think I'm gonna go ahead and concede unless our top deck is amazing though. I think at this point we're just too far behind to really do anything meaningful. I guess that's puts that in carpet bombing range. That's something. Okay, maybe it's worth playing on, because like this will make this a 6/6. If we can draw another AVRO, maybe we can draw ourselves into, you know, into a hand that can keep up with what our opponent's doing. They are running Japanese cards though. They probably have an Empire of the Sun that's gonna make this, like, if I almost wish we were playing a tabletop game, because I'd be like, opponent, do you have the Empire of the Sun? Because if the answer is yes, I would just concede right now. There probably wouldn't really be a point to playing on in that case. I actually kind of want to just like pass the turn and see if we can get them to play out more stuff, because like we're not really under that much pressure right now, and getting back the RAF ground crew and the Mosquito's not like super important right now. Let's see what they do. That's mildly annoying, I guess. I guess this absorbs all the damage that this will take, right? But this still lives, so I don't know if it's that big of a deal. Now they could be holding up Ultra, though. I guess that's the problem. Okay, well, now they're not. That's, like, not that big of a deal, honestly. So do they have a bunch of precision bombings? That would be a problem too. It's the Empire of the Sun. What am I saying? It's gonna be the Empire of the Sun. You know it, I know it. Okay, this is not so bad, because we can play the RAF, finish off the bomber, have a guard unit as a backup. That's not bad. Let's attack first, then play this. Okay, cool. Other than that one of AVRO that's still in our deck, we really like to see... Okay, we're protecting what? This has to hit our HQ? Okay, because it has to hit our HQ, definitely... We don't really need this RAF ground crew anymore, do we? I'm actually just gonna kill this while the killing's good. Clog up the front line here and just play out a bunch of this. So yeah, AVRO is one of the cards we want to see off the top. Wouldn't mind seeing our Spitfire IXs for some card advantage. Our Avenger would be really nice. Pardon me. Talking too much. Okay. I see you, opponent. I don't know that that matters too much at this current juncture. Junction. That's the word I'm looking for. All right, I'm gonna kill this because I need to attack it anyway to guarantee that this Avenger procs onto the Comet. It does mean this is in carpet bombing range, but, you know, not... wait, what am I saying? They already played 2 of them. But he's in range of dying to, like, a stiff breeze, so... This... 3... I'm glad I decided to play this out, because it turns out their hand wasn't as great as I was fearing, and like we're so far kind of in a competitive position here. Again, hoping to dodge the Empire of the Sun. Our opponent almost certainly running at least 1 copy of that. I feel like that's the big reason why you... Well, it's one of the reasons why you want to have a Japanese ally. A deck like this, like an air deck like this that wants to like put out a lot of units on the board. Okay, here comes the Empire Strikes now then. Oh, no, that's not so bad. Oh, they only had enough resources to do it to one of the things. That's so unfortunate for our opponent and so fortunate for us. Unfortunately, our guard unit's sitting here not guarding really much. I'd prefer he's guarding our HQ as well if he's not on the other side here. Is it worth moving up our bomber just to make sure we don't get killed by a blitzling? Like, we're still pretty healthy life total, so I don't think like that's an immediate concern. That's not the American plane we wanted to see. Really wanted to see the Spitfire 9. Now our opponent can just kind of keep beating on our HQ all they want. And there's not much we can do about that. Yeah, I'm going to pass for now. How many Spitfires have we seen this game? Only 2, I think. 2 out of the 10 that we're running in our deck. Guess that's not completely unreasonable. Boy, oh boy. I guess I'll... Yeah, I mean, we just have to hope to draw it before... just before long. Like, I will offer up... Like, I will just throw away this bomber at some point. I kind of want them to play out something big so I can Avenger it, and then, like, if I have to, I'll throw both Avengers away. There we go. There's the Spitfire we wanted. I'll clog up the front line because why not? And they're probably going face here. That brings us down to 5 at least. If they top deck something ridiculous like that Empire of the Sun, I'm really, really sad. Or precision bombing, that's also pretty good. Is there a crying emote? No, unfortunately. Really, they're just like, I don't know that that's where you want to be. Actually. I feel like at this point, the RAF ground crew doesn't matter. Like, the fact that that one gained us 4 life, and then this one gained us another 2, I think is huge here, actually. Boy, oh boy, these war machines feel really bad when you're top decking them. Alright. Finally, okay. Move this up to make room in our support line. This is actually lethal. So if he doesn't have something that can stop this, we're in a really good spot. Okay, he had something that could stop it. That's fine though. We have a Avenger for that. at least. Yikes. Okay, this is gonna be a close one. Again with this warm, these are just mocking me now at this point. Right, does he have a blitz plane? We got there. Look at that. And you guys thought all was lost after that second carpet bombing. All right, I think that's gonna do it for me for this deck anyway. Yeah, I don't know. This deck I don't think is anywhere close to ever being you know, a competitive staple on the ladder or anything like that. But man, if I don't have a lot of fun playing it. Playing with big dumb planes is fun. What can I say? Something we talked about earlier. Obviously, they were pretty good in that matchup we saw there, but you know, in a more mid-range, in mid-range mirrors, this Avenger is obviously much better than something like Woken Giants would be. But Woken Giants are going to be very, very good against aggressive decks. You know, I feel like most of the games we lost were due to aggro. Why no B-17s? Because this deck is more about tempoing our opponents out of the game, and B-17s, they're too expensive for what they are, frankly. By the time we're laying down B-17s, we should be ending the game by shooting them with our big scary fighters. The only reason the Avengers are in here, the Avengers suffer from the same problem, except for the fact that because you have a little bit more control about what they kill, they can help us deal with problem units that we could find our opponent playing we could find on the other side of the table. Things like ridiculously huge tanks that you can't target with orders, like you'll see us building in the next deck we're about to play. Just huge guard units that we might need to get through, just ridiculously overbuffed infantry or other units, or like alpine units and stuff. This is pretty much in here as an out against like ridiculous big stuff like that, whereas something like a B-17, it's just not good. Like the fact that it hits a random thing is just not good enough. We're not running enough like hard removal to make it so that a B-17 coming into play is like really truly valuable. By the time, like I said, by the time the B-17s are coming into play, we should have like 2-3 large Spitfires in play, and we should just be like shooting their face and killing them that way. We don't really care about the units that are on their field except for guard units, and then we'd rather have things like this that can remove the guard so we can punch through for lethal damage. Okay, well that's gonna do it for that deck.